Alright, hey guys, so we're going to do 1 through 9. This is all on page 25. If you don't have graph paper, you can just do it anywhere on the side of this, or if you've got regular paper, you can do it on there. You don't have to have graph paper to be able to do this stuff, okay? Alright, so remember that you need a pencil, and if there at any time that you get confused, I want you to circle one of the problems that you got confused on. So if any one of these you got confused, circle that problem, and then any part that you got confused, like if you are confused about how to do the first part, circle the first part. If you were confused about how to do the second part, circle the second part, okay? That way when you come back in on Wednesday, you can tell me which parts you were confused on so we can go over them together. Also, you can pause it, you can fast forward it, and you can rewind this video. So at any time, if I'm going too fast, you just pause it, or if you need to see something again, you can rewind it, or if you know how to do every single one of these, do them on your own real quick, and then just fast forward to find the answers for each one, okay? Alright, so here we go on number 1. First thing you need to do is draw yourself a graph. Well, let's not do that first. Sorry. So let's write our functions down first. First of all, we have the function y equals, because remember f of x is y, so we have y equals 1, and then we have y equals x plus 1 from right here. Okay? So let's draw our graph. Alright, y equals 1 is we go to the y-axis, which this is the y-axis right here. This is the x-axis. So we go to the y-axis at 1, okay? And we're going to draw a straight across line. And remember, we're going to need to erase in just a minute. So do not try to graph both of these at the same time. It's going to make you confused. So do one at a time. Alright, y equals 1 says it wants to take all the x's less than 1. So we're going to go to the x-axis at 1. So here's the x-axis. Here's 1. We're going to find that graph, which is right here, okay? Alright, and at that point, it's got a line underneath that, so it's going to get a closed dot. So now we got to ask ourselves, do we want to take the piece to the left, or do we want to take the piece to the right? Well, it says less than, so that's all the pieces to the right, so we're going to erase everything on the right-hand side. So we're going to take everything to that side. Alright, then we've got y equals x plus 1. We've got a slope, which is always in front of x, which is 1 over 1. And we've got a y-intercept, which is always the number by itself, which is positive 1. So we're going to graph that like normal. We're going to go to y-intercept at positive 1 and make these kind of light, because remember, we're going to have to erase. And then our slope is up 1 and right 1. Or we can go down 1 and left 1. Alright, and we need to go to the x-axis at positive 1. Here's the x-axis, positive 1. Let's find that dot. Well, this dot was the graph we already did, so we don't want that one. We want this dot right here, okay? And at that dot, since it does not have a line underneath that greater than, it's going to get an open circle. Alright, and it wants all the x's that are greater than 1. So that means that I need to take all the x's to the right. And then I can erase those other guys. Alright, remember that we did domain and range. So let's talk about domain and range. Domain were the x values, and it went from left to right. Remember, there was no shame in writing this down, okay? So please write it if you need it. Alright, do you see a graph? This one right here is going all the way forever and forever and forever and forever and forever to the left. So that would be negative infinity, and infinity always gets a parentheses. And in this graph, I don't want to think that he's going up. I want to think that he's going to the right. So he's going to the right forever and forever and forever and forever and forever So that's positive infinity. And infinities always get a parentheses. Alright, range. That was the y value. And remember the song? Start from the bottom. And then we go to the top. Alright, so you got to ask yourself, do you see a graph that is pointing to the bottom? And you do not see a graph that's pointing to the bottom. So then you ask yourself, what is the furthest that it goes? And it does not go any further than this guy right here. So what is that y value? That y value is 1, okay? And since it actually physically hit at 1, there's a closed dot at 1, it gets a bracket. And then you ask yourself, do you see a graph that's going to the top? And yes, you see one that's pointing to the top here. He's going forever and forever and forever to the top. So that would be a positive infinity. And that's all you got to do on number 1. Okay, so let's do number 2. And sometimes, especially with this page, it really helps if you put the paper underneath number 2 so you don't get confused, okay? So remember, f of x meant y. So we've got y equals, my first function is 3. And my second function is x minus 1, okay? We're going to do these one at a time, so go ahead and draw you a picture. Or not a picture, but a graph. Okay, we got an x and y axis labeled. So we're going to go y equals 3. So again, remember, if I'm going too fast, you just hit the pause button until you get caught up, okay? So we go to the y-axis at 3, and it's a straight across line. It's a horizontal line. Alright, now we've got to figure out the piece that we need to take, because remember, that's why it was called piecewise. And it wants us to take all the x's less than 2. So we go to the x-axis at positive 2, and then we follow that up and find our graph right here. So that needs an open circle. And less than means we're going to take everything to the left, and we're going to erase this little piece over here. Alright, this guy right here, my slope is 1 over 1, and my y-intercept is, be careful, it's negative 1. So we're going to graph it just like we always do. Y-intercept is negative 1, and then our slope is up 1 and right 1. Or we can go down 1 and left 1. Okay, well, let's see where that wants to take it. It wants to take it from x is 2, so we're going to go to the x-axis at 2, find that dot right here. It's got a line underneath it, so a solid line means a solid dot. And it wants everything greater than. So we're going to take everything to the right. And we're going to erase the other two guys. Or the other couple of guys, actually. Alright, so we have domain. On my x values, that's from left to right. Alright, so you see a graph that's going to the left, this way. So that's negative infinity. And infinities always get a parentheses. And I don't want to think that this guy right here is going up. I want to think that he's going to the right. So he is going to the right forever and forever, so that's positive infinity. Alright, then we have our range, which are our y values. That's bottom to top. Alright, so ask yourself, do you see a graph going to the bottom? And we do not see a graph going to the bottom. This guy is flatlined. This guy is going up. So we don't see one that's going to the bottom down here. So then you ask yourself, what's the lowest that this graph goes? And it doesn't go any further than this point right here. So then you have to ask yourself, what is that y value? That y value is 1. So 1. Then since it was a closed dot, it gets a bracket. Alright, and then it goes do you see a graph that's going to the top? And you see this one going up forever and forever and forever and forever, so that would be positive infinity. And infinities always get a parentheses. Alright, let's go to number 3. If I go too fast, just slow it down, okay? Alright, I'd really like you to try number 3 on your own. So see if you can pause this video for a second and graph number 3 on your own. And be careful on this one. Slope is always in front of x. So I'm going to help you out here. Slope is -1/1. And your y-intercept, this 1 right here, that's a positive 1. Remember your sign's always in the front? That's a positive 1, okay? So I want you to try that one, number 3, on your own, okay? Alright, see if you got the same answer as number 3. So we have y equals 5, which means we have a straight across line, but it wanted us to take it from x is -2, so into the x-axis at -2, and that's where we took it from. It had an equal to, it had a solid line, so we put a solid dot, and it wanted all the x's greater than, so we took it to the right. Then the other one, we started at +1, right here, and our slope was -1, which means we went down 1, and +1 we goes right 1. Or we could go up and left, and then it wanted us to take it from x is -2, but it was only less than, so we put a open circle, and less than means all the x's to the left. Alright, let's talk about domain and range real quick. Domain are the x's from left to right. Alright, do you see a graph that's going to the left? You don't want to think this guy's going up. You want to think that he's going to the left. So left is -infinity. And then this guy right here is going to the right. That's positive infinity. Alright, then we've got range as the y values. Remember the song? Started from the bottom, okay? Then we go into the top. Alright, on the bottom, you ask yourself, do you see a graph going that's pointing to the bottom? And the answer is no. So you find the lowest point. It doesn't go any further. There's nothing below this point right here. Alright, what's that y value? Follow it over right here. Okay? That's +3. Since it had an open circle, +3 is going to get an open parentheses. Then you ask yourself, do you see one going to the top? And this guy's going to the top forever and forever. And going to the top is a positive infinity. Infinities always get a parentheses. Alright, remember, if I'm going too fast, just hit the pause button. Alright, let's look at number 4. Okay, now remember, it really helps to be able to circle these or highlight them or put your paper underneath them so you don't get them confused, okay? So number 4, we have y equals x, and we have y equals x plus 1. Alright, now, when you have an x, your slope is always in front of your x. So your slope is 1/1, and your y-intercept, there's nothing here, so that's a 0. Remember, if you don't have any money, you have $0. So if you don't have anything you're adding and subtracting, it's 0. Alright, the next one, your slope is always in front of x, so slope is 1/1, and your y-intercept is a +1. Alright, let's draw ourselves a graph. Okay, if I go too fast, all you have to do is slow down. All you have to do is hit the pause button, okay? Alright, on number 4, so for the first one, it wants all the x's that are less than or equal to 0. And for the second one, it wants all the x's that are greater than 0. Okay? Alright, so let's just graph this one like normal. Remember, do them one at a time. We start at the y-intercept of 0, and we're going to go up 1 and right 1. We're going to graph it just like we always do. Try not to do it too dark so that way you can erase it. And then the opposite of going up and right is down and left. Alright, because of this equal to bar, that means it's going to get a solid dot at x is 0. Well, here's the x-axis, and here's 0 right here. That's a solid dot. And it wants all the x's less than 0. So that's going to be to the left. Means we can erase all these other guys. Alright, then let's go to the second one. The second one, we have a y-intercept of 1. So we're going to go the y-axis at 1. Don't make them too dark because we're going to need to erase some things. Same slope. Up 1 and right 1. Or down 1 and left 1. Alright, this guy does not have a line, which means that x is 0. It's going to get an open circle. And it wants all the x's greater than. So we can erase all the other guys. Alright, let's do domain and range. Domain just from left to right. Okay, you've got one going. I don't want to think down and up. I want to think left and right, okay? So, yes, this guy is going down, but as he's going down, he's also going to the left. So that is negative infinity. And then this guy, I know he's going up, but he's also going to the right. So that's positive infinity. All right, range or y's. Remember the song started from the bottom? All right, now you want to think down and up. So this one's going down, that's negative infinity. This one's going up, that's positive infinity. All right, just a few more. Let's try number 5. All right, 5, same thing. I want you to try this one on your own, okay? So I'm going to help you out here. Your slope is always in front of x. So slope on the first one is 2 over 1. Your y-intercept on the first one is 3. All right, be careful on the second one. Slope is always in front of x. So your slope here is negative 1 over 1. And remember, you always take the sign in front. That's a positive 3. So y-intercept is a positive 3, okay? All right, pause the video real quick, and I want you to try number 5 on your own. All right, number 5. Check your work on number 5. See if you got the same graph. Okay, so this one started at positive 3. So we went up 3. Had a slope of 2 over 1. So I could either go up 2 and right 1 or down 2 and left 1. All right, and it wanted us to take this one on number 5 from all the x's that were less than negative 1. That's why when we went to the x-axis at negative 1, that's why this guy has an open circle, and only this guy has an open circle. And then it wanted less than means we're going to take everything to the left. That's why we took that piece. All right, this other guy, remember this was a positive 3, was my y-intercept, so we went up 3. And I have a slope of negative 1 over 1. So I'm going to go down 1, right 1. Or I could go up 1 and left 1. All right, that guy wanted us to take it from all the x's that were greater than or equal to 1. This equal to negative 1. Yeah, sorry, negative 1. So this equal to bar means that it's going to get a solid dot at x is negative 1. So go to the x-axis at negative 1. Follow that up was right here. That's why that guy got a closed dot. And then your slope was down 1, right 1. Now all your x's to the right because it's greater than. All right, let's look at domain and range. So left to right. So I don't want to think this was going down. I want to think that it's going to the left. It's going to the left. So it's going to the left forever. So that's negative infinity. Okay? I don't want to think that this one's going down. I want to think he's going to the right. So that's positive infinity. All right, then you have range. Range is from bottom to top. All right, so we see actually two of them going down forever and forever. So if they're both going down, that's negative infinity. And see, they're both going down. You don't see any of them going to the top. So then you ask yourself, what's the highest this graph goes? It doesn't go any further past this point right here. So then what's that y value? That y value is positive 4. Yeah, positive 4. All right, since that 4 right here has a closed dot, it's going to get a closed bracket, okay? All right, and that's it for number 5. All right, we're actually going to skip number 6 because it's got a square. We're going to skip number 6. And when we get back, we're going to skip number 10 as well, okay? And number 16. So we're not going to do the squares. All right, so we're going to do 7, 8, and 9, okay? So I want you to try those 3. So I want you to pause the video right now. We're going to try number 7. So let's do this together. Your slope is always in front of x. So your slope for the first one is 1 over 1. And your y-intercept is 2. On the second one, your slope is always in front of x. So your slope is 3 over 1. And you don't have anything behind it. If you don't have any money, how much money do you have? You have $0. So if you don't have anything back here, your y-intercept is 0, okay? All right, you try number 7 real quick. Pause the video. You try number 7. And when you get your answer, unpause it and check your answer. All right, check your work on 7. So on this first one, we started at positive 2. Our slope was 1 over 1, so we could either go up 1 and right 1, or down 1 and left 1. And it wanted us to take it from x is negative 2, so the x-axis at negative 2. And it wanted less than, that's why we went down 1 and left 1, because it wanted all the ones to the left. All right, this guy had a slope of 0. Excuse me, it had a y-intercept of 0, and it had a slope of 3, so we could go up 3 and right 1, or down 3 and left 1. Okay, it wanted us to take it from x is negative 2, x-axis, negative 2, follow it down, and this one did not have an equal to bar, did not have a solid bar, so that's why it got an open circle. And it wanted all of them greater than is to the right, so it took them that way. All right, domain is from left to right. So we took all our x's to the left, which is this way. I don't want to think down. I want to think left. That's negative infinity. And I don't want to think this guy's going up. I want to think that he's going to the right. So that's positive infinity. All right, then your range or your y's, that's from bottom to top. Now you want to think down and up. This guy's going down, that's negative infinity. This guy's going up, that's positive infinity. All right. So, same thing on number 8. Let me help you out on 8 real quick, okay? Slope is always in front of x, so your slope here is negative 2 over 1. Your y-intercept is always the number by itself, which is negative 2. All right, on this guy, it's always in front of x. So always look at x. That's your slope, which is negative 1 over 1. Your y-intercept, you always take the sign in front. That's a positive 4. So that's your y-intercept, okay? All right, pause the video real quick. You try number 8 on your own, okay? You try number 8. Alright, here's your answer for number 8. Alright, this first one, your y-intercept was negative 2, so we went down 2. It did not have a solid bar, so that's why it had an open circle, because this is x is 0, okay? Slope was negative 2 over 1, so you can go down 2 and right 1, or you can go up 2 and left 1. And since it wanted all the ones to the left, that's why we went up and left, okay? Alright, the second one, your y-intercept is positive 4 right here. and that got a closed circle because it wanted all the x's at 0, and it had a solid line. So solid line here, solid dot here. All right, then your y-intercept was -1, so you went down 1 and right 1, or you could go up 1 and left 1. And since it said greater, that's why we took all the ones to the right. All right, let's do our domain and range. All right, so you don't want to think up and down. You want to think left and right. This guy, I know he's going up, but I want to think he's going to the left. Left is -infinity. I know this guy's going down, but I don't want to think that. I want to think that he's going to the right. So that's +infinity. All right, but when you get to range, range is when you can think bottom to top or up and down. All right, bottom. I don't care that they're backwards. Do you see one that's going to the bottom? And you see this guy right here is going to the bottom. That's -infinity. I don't care they're backwards. It's not a big deal. You do bottom and then you do top. Then this one's going up, so that's +infinity. All right, last one, guys, number 9. Last one, okay? All right, so number 9, your slope is always in front of x, which is 2/1. You don't have anything in the back. So remember, if you don't have any money, it's 0. If you don't have any dollars, you got $0. All right, the second one, your slope is always in front of x. So it's this guy right here in the front. That's a 1/1. And then your y-intercept is -1, okay? You try number 9, last one. Try number 9 on your own. All right. Check your graph on number 9. It's the last one, guys. Okay, so this one started at 0. So we started right here at 0. And then we went up 2 and right 1. Or we could go down 2 and left 1. Then it wanted us to go to the x-axis at 2, which is right here. Follow that up. And it did not have a solid bar, so it does not get a solid dot. It's an open dot. And it wanted us to take all of the x's less than. That's all the ones to the left. So that's why we took this piece. All right, this guy had a slope, a y-intercept of -1. And then we went up 1, right 1. Or you could go down 1, left 1. But we wanted to take all the x's at 2. So it's the x-axis at 2. And that's why we took this guy right here. And it had a solid line. Right here, it had a solid line. So that's why it got a solid dot. And it wanted us to take all the x's greater than 2. That's why we took all the ones to the right. Okay? All right, let's do domain and range. All right, domain is left to right. I don't care that he's going down. I want to think left. This guy's going left. So that's -infinity because he's going forever. And by the way, guys, if you're having a hard time writing infinity, just turn your paper to the side and write an 8. That's all it is, okay? All right, and I don't want to think that this guy's going up. I want to think he's going to the right. So that is +infinity. Anything going up or right is positive. Anything going left or down is negative, okay? All right, range are the y values. That's bottom to top. All right, now I want to think this guy's going down. So that's -infinity. And then this guy's going up. So that's +infinity. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is, that's everything for today. And we're now going to go over your homework, which was page 23. And your homework to turn in is going to be these 9 problems, which should be a 100, because I just went over every single one of them with you, and the homework page 23. So these 9 problems, put them in a very safe place, because they are going to be your homework. All right, now grab page 23 in your notes, and let's go over those. And then we're going to turn all that in as a homework grade. So it should be a very, very easy homework grade, okay? Very easy homework grade. All right, remember how to do this. you've got to figure out, it says evaluate. It does not say graph. It says evaluate. All right, you've got to figure out where this negative 2 needs to be plugged in, either to the 3x plus 5 or the 4x plus 7. So is negative 2 less than 0, or is it greater than 0? And negative 2 is less than 0, so we're going to plug it into this guy. All right, so that's going to be 3 times negative 2 plus 5. That's negative 6 plus 5. Now remember how we write our answer. F of negative 2 equals negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1, okay? You should have already had this finished, so if I'm going too fast, just hit the pause button, okay? If I'm going too slow and you just want to check your answers, fast forward and check your answers, okay? All right, 0. 0 is equal to 0, so we're going to plug it into this guy, okay? So we have 4 times 0 plus 7. That's 0 plus 7. Write your answer correctly. F of 0 equals 7. All right, 3. 3 is greater than 0, so we're going to plug it into this guy. All right, so that one should be pretty easy. All right, number 2, same thing. All right, so we have 0. 0 is less than or equal to 4 or greater than 4. And 0 is less than 4. So we're going to plug it into this one right here, okay? Do not let this freak you out. It's 3 times the square root of 4 times 0. All right? You could literally plug that in your calculator if you wanted, but let's work it out. That's 3 times the square root of 4 times 0 is 0. All right, if you plug that in your calculator, I'm going to make the screen a little bigger so you can see. All right, your square root button is right here. Okay, it's in blue, so you hit the second and then the square root button and 0, and you still get 0. Okay? All right, so then let me zoom this back in. Hold on. All right, so you have 3 times 0, which is just 0. All right, then we're going to plug in 4. 4 is equal to 4, so we're going to plug it in that same one. 4 times 4 is 16. If you take the square root of 16, you should know these. We just had a perfect squares test. That's 4. So you have 3 times 4. So your answer is F of 4 equals 12. All right, then you have 6. 6 is greater than 4. So we're going to plug it into this one. It'll be 2 parentheses 6 squared. You have to square first. You have to square first. Remember PEMDAS? That's the thing that's getting a lot of us still. We're still trying to multiply. We do not multiply first. Exponents come before multiplication. So you have 2 and then 6 times 6. It's not 6 times 2. It's 6 times 6. That's 36. Okay? And then you have 2 times 36, which gives you 72. Oh, well, I didn't write my answer right. Hold on. There we go. All right, then you got number 3. All right, you got negative 2. Negative 2 is less than 1, so we're going to plug it into this guy. All right, you're not going to get 2 answers here like we've done before because you're not solving anything. You're just evaluating. So you do the inside first, which is negative 2 plus 5. That's positive 3. All right, pretend like that guy's not there. What's the absolute value of 3? And you should still get 3. If they are smushed together right here, you don't see a plus sign, you don't see a minus sign. That means that it's understood to be multiplication, okay? So this is negative 3 times absolute value of 3 is simply 3. So your answer is F of negative 2 equals negative 9. All right, 1 is equal to 1. So our answer, like 9, does not have an x with him. Negative 9 is never going to change. So my answer is just negative 9. All right, f of 11. 11 is greater than 1. So same thing. There's not a letter with negative 9. So negative 9 is never going to change. So that answer is just negative 9. All right, number 4, last one. Or excuse me, nope, we got 2 more after that. All right, so we have 3 to choose from. Remember, this just means it's between 0 and 2. That's all that means, okay? So we have negative 5. Is negative 5 less than 0? Is negative 5 between 0 and 2? Or is negative 5 greater than 2? And negative 5 is less than 0. So you're going to do it 3 times x is 3 times negative 5. So that's negative 15. All right, 2. You want to find, you don't want to do greater than 2 because I want it to actually include 2. You're going to do the equal to 2, which is the x plus 1. So it's going to be 2 plus 1, which is 3. All right, last one is 8. 8 is greater than 2, so you're going to plug it into this one. Now watch how that's written. It's written parentheses, then I'm not going to put x, I'm going to put 8, and then minus 2, close your parentheses, and then square it. All right, PEMDAS said that we're going to do parentheses first. So that's 8 minus 2 first, which is 6. Then you do exponents. 6 squared is not 6 times 2. It's 6 times 6, which is 36. All right, last one, number 5. Last one. All right, so you have less than negative 5. You have between negative 5 and 3. And those are equal to, okay? Oh, well, excuse me. The negative 5 is equal to. The 3 is not. And then you have greater than or equal to 3, okay? So negative 6. Negative 6 is less than negative 5. So you're going to plug it into this guy, okay? So be careful. You have 2 x's. You have x squared and 4 times x. And remember, when you square something, you have to use parentheses. And you really could just plug all that in, but we're going to multiply it. So that's 36. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And then you have minus 5. Okay? So then you can just plug all that straight in your calculator. You type in 36, subtract 24, subtract 5, and you get 7. All right, and then we have 2. All right, 2 is between negative 5 and 3. So we're going to plug it into this guy. All right, we're going to multiply first. So 5 times 2 is 10. Minus 1 is 9. And then the square root of 9, if you plug that in your calculator, you should know that though because we just had a perfect squares test. Plug it in your calculator and you get 3. Okay? So you have, write your answer correctly, f of 2 equals 3. That means when x is 2, y is 3, okay? All right, last one is 7. 7 is greater than 3, so we're going to plug it in here. You got to be careful because you have 2 x's, one here and one here, okay? So you have 4 times 7 squared minus 7 plus 9. And since that 7 is positive, you do not have to use parentheses. Now, if it was negative, you would have to use parentheses. All right, you square it first. So that's 4 times 49 minus 7 plus 9. All right, then we're going to multiply these two right here. 4 times 49 is 196 minus 7 plus 9. And you can take your calculator and type in 196 minus 7 plus 9, and you get f of 7 is equal to 198. All right, guys, that was your homework. So what you're going to turn in on Wednesday when we come back, what you're going to turn in is you're going to turn in this page, page 23. So go ahead and make sure your name is on it at the top of your paper. Please make sure your name is on it. And then you're going to turn in those graphs that we did 1 through 9, except for number 6. We didn't do 6. All right, y'all have a great, restful 2 days, and I will see you back on Wednesday. Be safe, be careful. See you on Wednesday, guys.